Hi, David Ellenstein here, Artistic Director of North Coast Repertory Theater. Thank you for tuning in today to our theater conversations. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. That would help us out a lot. Thank you. Hello, and welcome to Theater Conversations. It is my great pleasure to be joined today by my friends, Randall and Brenda Dodge, who are awesome actors, both in their own rights and also great people. Hi.
Hello.
Hi, David.
We miss you in San Diego. Our North Coast audience will remember you both from so many shows, and I'm going to go over a few of them in a minute, and also the other theaters in town that you worked at, because you both worked all over the place in San Diego, and you've been gone for, as you just told me, I can't believe it, 5 years.
Yep.
You relocated to Milwaukee, is that correct? And Brenda, is that where you're originally from?
No, I'm originally from the Chicago suburbs, so not far.
So what took you to Milwaukee, and how's it been going there for 5 years?
Yeah, it's been going great. We love it out here. We are in the southwest suburbs of Milwaukee. We're in Franklin, and while I had moved to LA straight out of college, and while I was out there, my immediate family, all sort of migrated from the Chicago area up to to the Milwaukee area. And so when we knew we wanted to come back to the Midwest, we thought about going back to Chicago, but we just decided if we were going to move back to be close to family, which was the motivating factor, then we wanted to be as close as possible. And we love it. It's gorgeous up here, and a great artistic community, and so far so good.
Randall, you're not from that area, right? Aren't you?
No. Southern California, born and raised. Yeah, I've moved away from California maybe 7 times. To the East Coast, to the Midwest, back and forth, but now that the kids are older, we're planted here. So,
how old are your kids now?
Our son's about to turn 11.
Wow.
It blows my mind, in June, and my daughter is 9. Yeah.
So just to refresh the memories of the audience that's watching right now, Randall, you started with me when I started at North Coast Rep 17 and a half years ago.
Yeah.
You were in a couple of my very first shows. In fact, you were one of the very first equity actors that I hired when we did Story Theater, and you got to play the Governator and a donkey with some teeth, as I recall.
Oh.
And I hate to remind you of that. And then also, it was your first go at Fantastics.
That's right.
Which you've subsequently done numerous times. And I know I'm going to leave some out, but I certainly remember No Way to Treat a Lady, which you were awesome in. And there was Side by Sondheim, Man with a Load of Mischief. What am I forgetting? Was there more than that?
No, that was it. That's just the 5. Yeah.
The 5. And then Brenda, I'm remembering for you Leading Ladies, which was quite a ways back, and then Perfect Wedding and School for Lies, and what am I forgetting?
Dracula.
And Dracula. Right. Oh, how could I forget that one? Yeah. So you guys, that's what, 9 productions at North Coast Rep between the two of you, and then Randall, you were in The Grinch at the Globe and all those shows at Moonlight, and Brenda, you worked at most of the mid-sized theaters around town at one time or another while you guys were here. How did you guys meet, and how did you end up together?
Okay.
At Moonlight. We
in which show?
Pirates of Penzance. The Pirates of Penzance at Moonlight, that would have been the summer of 2005. And I was just moving down from LA and started auditioning around town. Actually, that was my first exposure to you as well. I don't know if you remember this.
I came and sat in my office, and then didn't I do a Shakespeare workshop or something?
Right before you did Romeo and Juliet.
Right.
Yeah, I think. And that's why you did that workshop, and it was such a wonderful experience. I was missing theater a lot and was looking for sort of my next move, and when I met you and got to attend that workshop, I was like, well, if this is what the theater scene in San Diego is like, then yeah, sign me up. And so then Pirates was the first show that I did in the area the summer of 2005, and that's where we met, and the rest is history.
The rest is history.
Yeah.
So when you met, did you immediately sort of start dating, or did it take a while?
It took a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A courtship? A long courtship?
Yeah, a showman's. No, it was, we started, because then was that the summer that you did a handful of shows there? You were like back to back?
I was doing Beauty and the Beast while we were in rehearsal for Pirates. And then I think those are the only two. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we got engaged a year later and married 1 year later after that.
That's right. I went to North Carolina to do, right after Pirates closed, when we started dating, I left California and took a contract out in Raleigh, North Carolina to do Children of Eden. And so we had the phone conversation relationship very early on in our relationship. So we did nothing but find out about each other, and which was pretty fantastic, because when you're still in the first stages of your relationship, it's all excitement and can't wait to see that person. But then I was gone for, what was it, like 8 weeks, 9 weeks? It was a good long while. And so as soon as I could get back, I did.
Well, and we were happy to have you back, because you guys have left a big hole here. We have to try and figure out who fills that hole. And you guys take up a lot of space, and it's a big hole you left.
We miss the San Diego theater community. It's such a wonderful community. I mean, there's nothing like it.
I can't speak.
That was a tough decision. It really was. When we thought about leaving, I remember I was actually in Alaska doing a production of Les Mis, and I thought, my wife and 2 small children are at home, and I'm not anywhere nearby. I'm not within a phone call. I'm not, and I thought we had to do something about that. So I think that was the straw that broke my back, which was, to move away and be by family. Now we have that support system, which we didn't really have in California. So.
I totally understand that, because that's very much a big part of the reason why I'm at North Coast Rep, because when we had our first baby and I was out of town 6 months out of the year, it wasn't going to fly that way. It wasn't good for me. It wasn't good for the family. And so when this opportunity at North Coast, we moved here, and mostly the initial reason was due to family and wanting to not be traveling so much. So I totally get that.
Yeah.
So you've been there 5 years, and I know that Brenda, you guys both had a company here in San Diego called Character Kids, which you then sort of transported to Milwaukee, but that's now morphed into a full theater company. Is that right? Called Forte Theatre?
Forte Theatre Company.
Forte Theatre.
Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about that and what Forte Theatre is?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
sure. We knew that we wanted to sort of recreate that education model out here. Character Kids was an after-school theater company where we would contract actors to go into primarily elementary schools and teach theater in the after-school hours. And it was wonderful to get to work with so many students, especially in like the North County area was mostly where we were. But so when we moved here, we knew that we wanted to sort of recreate that here as well, and there certainly seemed to be a market for it and lots of enthusiasm for that. But the longer we were here, the more, and Randall started working at some of the theaters in town. There's wonderful professional theaters in the Milwaukee area, but nothing really in the suburbs. In San Diego, the professional theaters are very spread out throughout the county, and Milwaukee just doesn't have that same sort of vastness of the professional.
Density.
Yeah. And so we knew that we wanted to do the education stuff, but we couldn't figure out, why doesn't that exist in the suburbs as well? We're only 20 minutes outside of Milwaukee, but still, there's a lot of suburbs that stretch west of us as well. And so the more we looked into it, we just realized it hadn't been done before, and we really had a heart to create jobs in the arts. And so Forte Theatre Company was born. We do have an education program similar to what Character Kids was doing, but this was our first season that we would be in right now. We started with.
What happened to that?
Well,
no, I'm kidding. That was
Well,
bad attempted humor. Bad attempted humor.
Yeah, the COVID-19 nonsense. But we had kicked off our first real season of shows. We did a very successful production of Miracle on 34th Street, written by a couple of guys that we knew there in San Diego, and you're well aware of, Lance Smith.
Oh,
and John Lorenz, and it was wonderful. It was absolutely more than we expected, really. I mean, for our first production to come out of the gates, I mean, we broke even, so we didn't lose money on our very first production. I think our board was shocked. We weren't, because we knew, we knew we were going to put together a real quality product, which the audience definitely latched onto. And
right.
So we had a full head of steam going straight on ahead. We were renting space at a local high school, actually, that had a little performance venue for us. So we decided we were going to do The Fantastics, as a matter of fact. It was going to be our second show. And we had started rehearsals. We were up and going. Everything was, I mean, we had all of our publicity going. We had signage out. We had it all going. And then 1 week into rehearsal, we had to call it. And
so many stories out there like that. So many.
Yeah.
So I don't want to dwell too much on that negative stuff of our not being able to do what we do, because hopefully we're going to be able to do it again soon.
Right.
And I hope your theater takes off. And Milwaukee rep, what? No.
Right.
So what shows have you been doing around, Randall? And then to follow that up, Brenda, have you been able to do any acting, or are you too busy with the education part of the theater and children?
Yeah.
I mean,
the latter for me.
Yeah.
It's
you haven't been doing shows.
I haven't. No,
Okay.
It's just been getting the company up and running. I'm the executive director, and he's the artistic director, and
Right.
so yeah, we've had our hands full. And
I get it. Yeah.
school. So it's I look forward to getting back to it sometime.
And she won't tell you this, David, but when I first met her, she was a SAG member and was doing a lot of commercial auditions, those kind of things. And then once we started having the children and started building our family, she kind of took a leave of absence from SAG. And then surprisingly here now, we have 2 beautiful children and a gorgeous mom. And so they've actually been booking local commercial work out here like crazy. So she has been doing some stuff, just not on stage, but more in front of the camera.
That's great.
Yes.
And take those kids and let them earn your retirement for you.
Exactly.
Their college, if nothing else.
Start that college fund early.
And your retirement. Well, it's kind of the same thing. It means your retirement doesn't have to go for their college.
That's true. Good point. Good point.
Right.
Yep.
And Randall, what shows have you been doing in the last few years?
Yeah, I when we first got here, I managed to get Peter Pan out at one of the dinner theaters, out even further out, sort of between Madison and Milwaukee, kind of like right in the middle. There's a big, beautiful dinner theater there. And I finally got to play Captain Hook, and that was a dream come true. License to Kill. And I don't like chewing scenery, so
No, not you, Randall.
that was a lot of fun. But then after that, then I went and I did a couple of shows down at the Muni, actually. Yeah, my agent kind of got me hooked up with the Muni, went down to Chicago and auditioned, and so I did The Music Man and Fiddler on the Roof down at the Muni.
Oh, great.
And so I was able to work more regionally, and then I came back up here and did another production of Sweeney Todd. With Skylight, yeah. So love Sondheim, you know that.
Did you play the same role you played here, the judge, or did you play?
Yeah, no, yeah. Judge Turpin. Yeah, the bases are few and far between. So the second they hear those lower notes, they right away they just go, "Oh yeah, okay, Judge Turpin." Cross that off.
Right. Did you get to do the song, or did they not get to do the?
Yeah, we did it. Yeah,
sometimes, right? not that song.
Yeah, it was a full production, and it was beautiful. It really was. So yeah, so Skylight. It's hard because we have Starlight there in San Diego, but they have a Skylight theater here.
Okay.
So I mix those up a lot, but it's a beautiful theater. It's right in what they call the theater district, or the Broadway theater district, in the 3rd ward here in Milwaukee. I think Angelina told me about it when we did Side by Side.
Okay.
And yeah, so It's been great. It really has. But one of the reasons we started Forte, though, was really to create more opportunities. So
Yeah,
the
that's
people,
great.
you know, and North Coast was always very much an inspiration for us along those same lines, because the size of the house, the size of the subscription base, or the region that you're trying to reach, you know, that's very, very similar to what we're trying to accomplish. And so we were always sort of, you know, go backpedal and be like, well, what are they doing in North? How are
What
they?
would David
you know,
do?
Yeah, what would David do? But very much that same sort of you know, idea of you know, something, a nice intimate performance space, and bring the audience in as close as possible.
Well, you can always call me up and ask me what I would do, and then you go, oh, well, we're not going to do that.
Well, here's what we want to do. We want to get to the point where we can call you and say, come out here and work.
Okay.
I want to bring everyone I know from the West Coast to here, get them to fall in love with the houses and the prices to live here, and then move here, and then we can just transplant everybody out.
There we go. Well, you never know. You never know what's going to happen in this crazy world. So Randall, as you think forward for your career, aside from your theater there, which is awesome, and I hope it thrives and really takes off, do you have roles out there that you still like covet? Things that you haven't gotten to do that you really want to do?
Oh, yeah.
Which ones?
Oh, you know, since I was 10, I've wanted to play Don Quixote. Just forever. That was my mom's all-time favorite show.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I lost my mom, unfortunately, a few years ago, and she didn't get to see it, but I still yearn to do that show for decades. So I'm finally getting to, you know, the point where I can grow my beard and it comes in really nice and gray. And so I feel like I've got enough age now to be able to to be able to play the part. But that's one of those shows I just always wanted to do.
Yeah. Did you ever do Billy Bigelow?
No.
Oh,
no.
that's fun.
Carousel. I can't remember the last time somebody produced Carousel. Other than the Broadway revival, I can't. I don't. You know, I have my ear to the ground on it, but I cannot remember the last time I saw like a big regional theater production of Carousel.
I'd love to hear your voice singing Soliloquy. Did you ever work on it?
Yeah, I did in college, actually. My voice teacher, John Bayless, in college was very much in love with that show, in that sort of musical style. And so, you know, my voice was always sort of, you know, being tuned toward that sort of Howard Keel type sound.
Howard Keel, Gordon McRae, John Wright. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, you have all that, but maybe a little more power than some of them.
Right. Well,
I'm talking from experience.
Right.
So Brenda, how do you see, so you're executive director of this theater. If you could project out 5 or 10 years, what do you hope? What do you hope's going to happen?
Oh, we would love to have our own space. That's something that has been hard to come by in this area. You know, we think back to San Diego, and there are so many theater buildings that companies can sort of come in and rent and move out of, and you know, people share space, and it's just sort of a different beast out here. There aren't a lot of performing arts venues, so just finding a space to go into, especially that's not attached to a school, is very challenging. And so we're working on that. There's actually a space not far from where we live. It's an old historic building that has been sitting empty since we moved here. So we've got our sight set on that building and are trying to make that happen. We would love to renovate that space. It's perfect for what we would want. So yeah, if I could project, we'd have our own space and we'd be doing, I don't know, 5 show seasons, 5 to 7 show seasons. And the high school in our area has a big, beautiful performing arts center. So we would love to be able to, we're going to be using that for some of our bigger, splashier shows, but then, so that gives us an option to really do grander scale shows, but then, you know, having our own space for rehearsal space and dance studio space for the theater school, classrooms and things like that. And for our smaller intimate shows, I think would be a dream.
Yeah, well, I hope it happens. It would be awesome.
Yeah,
Why do you do it? Why do you guys do it? Why does it matter? I mean, you could do other things where you made more money. I know the performing is one thing, but why putting all the effort into theater and what theater brings to the world?
That's a great question.
Easy question for you, huh?
Yeah, we ask ourselves that question a lot. You know, and it's about the collaboration. It's about the art form. You know, a painter's got to paint, artists have to get it out, and you see a lot of that now on social media. You know, people are just going online and reading sonnets, and they're singing in front of their piano, and they're still embracing their art. And I think for us with Forte, we want to build that bridge for artists that still have a voice and want to be heard, but don't necessarily want to move to New York or want to move away, but they want to work and actually earn money. So, I mean, there is a place for community theater, there's all those things, but working in the theater and actually, even if it's something small, just a stipend, and you get that money back from your effort, it just, there's something about that collaboration. There's something about the creation of those opportunities. And now that was one of my biggest challenges, actually, as a director now, is would I miss the performing? And I do, but it's a completely different sensation now to watch something created and I helped work on and then release that. It's almost like parenthood, you know. I mean, it sounds corny to say, but it really is. You help it grow, and then you put it on its feet, and then you trust it's going to happen. And so, I mean, where else can you get to do all that, you know? Right. So yeah, we don't live this huge, you know, extravagant lifestyle, but at least we're doing what we love.
Yeah, so. That's great. Brenda, do you have anything to add to that?
I agree with everything that he said, especially on the professional theater front, but I would just add that with the education stuff, it's so exciting to see kids gaining confidence through the arts, and you know, they're learning these life skills that they don't even realize that they're learning because they're just having fun playing theater games or learning a script, and they're gaining confidence, and they're learning emotional literacy, and they're listening and responding and becoming more sure of themselves. And that feeds my soul. I mean, we're not trying to raise up the next generation of actors necessarily. We're trying to raise up the next generation of humans and theater goers, and, you know, ticket holders and arts appreciators and arts advocates, hopefully, you know. So that's a big part of what I do.
I applaud that so much, because that's what's missing. When I was a kid, the public schools had programs, and they don't anymore. So many of them don't anymore. Wow. So that you're doing it is awesome. So last thing I'm going to ask you, you've been gone 5 years, but when you think back on your time in San Diego, what's a story or an event or a funny thing or a crazy thing or a moving thing that happened while you were here that you want to remind that makes you think of San Diego? Both of you, a different one from each of you.
You're going to edit for time because she's going to think.
Go for it, Brenda. I saw something go through your mind there.
Oh gosh, I don't.
It wasn't Matt Thompson's cape caught in the door? No, I don't know.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I guess just theatrically speaking, one of my favorite times on stage ever to this day is School for Lies. I had so much fun doing that show. The cast that I had the pleasure of being able to work with in that show was just phenomenal, with Jessica, John, and Richard, and Jason, and Phil, and David. I mean, it was just so much fun. It was, I learned so much. It was like a master class being able to be in rehearsal with those guys.
And Jonathan McMurtry's last show ever.
Was it really?
Yeah, that was his final performance.
That was a treat, a complete honor to be able to share the stage with him. It was just a fun show. I learned a lot and had a lot of fun. Probably maybe too much fun. Like, you go to work and you're like, I shouldn't be having this much fun at work. How is this possible?
Right. How about you, Randall?
You know, David, there's I can look back to so many theatrical experiences there in San Diego, and the audiences are it's a treasure to have that many people willing to come out, pay money, and to see a show, and to have that communal experience, that symbiotic experience for me. You know, being fed by an audience like that is something that has always been thrilling to me. It was always a thrill at North Coast and at Moonlight, but specifically the one event that stands out most in my mind was when I did the Scarlet Pimpernel at Starlight, and we were doing the Creation of Man number, and it was like Court Norby and just all the Bounders. We were all out there. But we were made up, you know, in the high heels and the big canes and the pluming hats, and we finished that number, and the applause that came at the stage at Starlight, there were thousands of people there, and I could actually feel the applause, like a sound wave just rushed the stage, and people were yelling and hooting and hollering, and you felt it. It hit you in the face, and I've never felt that ever before or since. And I've always remembered that, and so that Starlight doesn't really exist in that way anymore is such a shame. But you know, things change. So, but having said that, it's really the audiences that I think I remember the most at Moonlight, Starlight, and at North Coast Rep.
Well, I'm so grateful to you both for taking the time so that the audience here in San Diego can reminisce about the wonderful times we had with you, and we miss you, and I hope in some way we'll get you back here to do something at some point, and who knows, maybe we'll come there and do something too. But thank you for taking the time. We miss you in this community a lot, but you know, we're all in the big family of the theater, so we're not really apart.
It is a small world, yeah. And especially now with Zoom, who knows? You know?
Doesn't quite take the place of sitting across the table, but it's all we can do right now. So thank you so much. It's great to see you both.
Good to see you, buddy. Take care.